Hi, Tile at Interfidelity here at Big Sound 2015 with Bob Katz. This is Sunday, and today we had a chance to do something that I've longed to do for a long time, which is use the raw frequency response measurements of a pair of headphones and the Harman target response curve, and to draw the difference between the raw frequency response and what the Harman response curve is, and then to create an EQ that matches that, and to see if it did a good job of EQing the headphones. And so today I worked on the graph itself on the piece of paper and drawing the curve. I was the co-pilot, and Bob was the pilot.
I was the guy driving the graphic display.
Driving the EQ curve and to come up with an EQ. And I'll let Bob tell you what he thought of the resulting EQ and how useful it might be.
Well, I was impressed. I like the marriage of science and art. I think it results in a better result than if you just design something totally by guesstimate or art. I'll give you a simple example. I am intimately familiar with all of my recordings over the years, but for me to arrive at an equalization based solely on those recordings, I'm handicapped because I don't know about the high Q resonance in the HD800, and it's a more subtle effect than what a standard equalization could be. And so I think that by beginning with the science, which is we formulated a curve which cancels out the errors in the measurements and matches it as to the Harman target curve, and then we listen from there, I think it produces an exceptional result. And there are parts of this curve, why don't we take a look at it. The one part that is quite interesting is this rise starting at...
I'm going to have to turn it here. Okay.
Does that work for you now?
Yeah.
Okay, starting, notice that around 200 hertz through to about 500 hertz, it's flat, and then boom, we've got this rise in order to make the headphone conform with the Harman target. And I must say that this is a much earlier rise. In fact, this particular compensation I never conceived of.
Right.
And my first thought was, this couldn't possibly work.
Right.
But honestly, and there's a lot that we could talk about in terms of the Harman target curve and how it was derived, but we'll let Tile talk about that in his articles. But let's just say that not only was I surprised that that portion of the curve worked, I was amazed at the results. And then based on these little changes, which were determined by comparing the measurements to the curve, in about 30 minutes to an hour's time, I derived a curve which refined the changes and made all of my reference recordings sound like my loudspeakers, which have also been compensated.
That is so satisfactory to hear. I thought this particular rise he's talking about, this is a pair of HD800s. The normal frequency response is flat through here, and we're talking about this rising line over here that does, to my ears, brings better balance of presence to the voice, a better relationship between chest resonances and throat sounds and lip smacks and nasal cavity things, and really causes the voice to sound more natural. At any rate,
I kind of feel privileged because how many people have the privilege of having their headphones custom measured, which you did, and I'm going to have to go back home and listen to this curve and A/B compare it against my hand-developed curve, which is actually a lot simpler curve than what this is, and I'll report back to you.
Yeah, cool. Very, very, very exciting to have done this today, and thank you so much for Bob for the help and the great gear that you brought by that made it easy.
I want to hear more.
Okay, we'll see you guys when the next victim comes tomorrow. Until then, bye-bye.